as our lovely Lionsgate portal comes almost to an end, it's the 11th, we have some special shares for my community. So as we build a sanctuary for those who are infinite higher human consciousness potential individuals, that would be anyone who is compassionate beyond reason, because you have moved into understanding that the shame defective strategy of a 0 to 7 month old equals people who don't really know how to take care, one, of their inner well-being, outer well-being. So here's where, from basic psych 101, between the lovely Daniel Siegel, who I get to learn still about interpersonal neurobiology and how the mind is made, and the part about how the defectiveness shame is a strategy that any infant who does not receive that contingent communication that every one of us as a human being in our attachment system is expecting. There is this underlying, I'm broken, I'm defective at the heart, with Bessel van der Kolk, how it's heartbreak, gut wrench, torn apart, and that lovely body of ours keeps this count, and the trauma memory is really painful. I personally have shared one of my experiences, and mine was like a little sliver, and I remember it because I was like, wow, okay, this is what they were talking about. Ruth Lanius also describes how this shame makes people feel disgusted with themselves, and it's this very torn apart tsunami body with emotions. So personally, I don't know those emotions, because with my body, and see, here's where there's a difference with those who live a life with a dysregulated or modulated embodied experience. But those of us who have a restorative embodied experience, we don't feel torture inside our physicality with emotions or when we're getting into a debate with somebody. And this is very different than those who have a shame cycle. Inner critic, outer critic, then they deny through activities that become compulsive and addictive, and their maladaptive responses as adults, but their safety behaviors as people are growing up. So we go from 0 to 7 months, which is that first only right brain is online, and that's the attachment system that either gets the opportunity to know it's safe to be me, to actually be able, and then continue to be processed with the left. And this is me interpreting to you some of the information. But what I have been told specifically is that those who don't receive at least a third of attunement, and then the repairs of ruptures in their own household. So that's why abuse and neglect are very much important, because people who have those households do not have the opportunity to know how to be their self with comfort. In fact, you say be yourself, there's most likely going to be a lot of different things that can take place. But putting that to the side, the basic message that I'm trying to share before we begin to move forward, because we build a sanctuary where we love all people. Like the Zen tradition story that we learned from Sadhguru, the IHP community are the Zen masters. So you become yourself. You are yourself really, but you become the adult version, emotionally and mentally speaking. So you work with your left and right. This means when sensations come up, you know how to do mind sight. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. So this means you sift your own sensations, the images that come up, the feelings and the thoughts, and you maintain online with your prefrontal cortex. That's why we're compassionate beyond reason, because in a body that is in compassion, what technology shows is the insula lights up, the amygdala, because that's where we're alerted up. Something needs my attention. We notice there's no person with a weapon. There's just a person that we're talking to. Temporal junction, that's where we have our past experiences. Those who ruminate, they sit in that, and they actually live in a biochemistry of fear as they think of hero, villain, rescuer scenarios. That's unfortunate, because that's that monkey brain that people who do yoga about. They don't really recognize the monkey mindset or the butterfly or the one siphoned or there's the other one, dull, or the I'm in love with myself mindset. I see a lot of actually yoga, holistic, and other people in the 4D mystic plane who are in love with themselves. They in fact give themselves names such as goddesses, mothers, fathers, and it's like, whoa, really? So any common down-to-earth 5D mystic will be like, I'm thinking you're deviating, and that's all Maya land, and they think they're not in Maya land because they are potentially yoga instructors, or they have gotten their certificates and da. So nobody can tell them, hey, guess what, you're an adaptive child, because they don't even know the terms. So what's an adaptive child? It's the actual person who's going to become upset and in cognitive dissonance and then confirmation bias, and really they're going to do this whole thing of calling transference, it's called, I'm using different words, to say you're the mean person because you're not behaving and are doing things they want you to do. And so, by the way, IHP is all about personal development and personal relationships. So we're not talking about societal stuff. I'm talking one-on-one or group setting. The Zen masters of the group know how to say, forgive anyone who misbehaves. This is why compassion beyond a reason. So we unconditionally love ourselves with flaws and imperfections and others. And then we also know how to be our own secure base, meaning I have values, I have desires, I have passions, I have my mind tickled. And you do too. So we can share it or we don't have to. We have grown-up relationships is what this episode is all about. So this means I ain't going to come tell you what to do with your life. I'm going to tell you if you do something directly, I don't really like that. And then we can stay friends, by the way. We're not cancel culture. That's also adaptive child. They don't know how to handle each other. They don't think of an effective way to respond because they're in a militaristic. Instead of seeing you got no weapon, the person's in their brain already with a vision that is like this. So when you hear a guru like Sadhguru tell you how your brain is down when you're angry or whatever it is, and however he puts it, I got psychoeducators that have shared the same thing, and it's because cortisol and a lot of other things happen, but most people don't even think about that. So they're just busy being in their yellow zones and thinking they're all grown up. Nope, not even close. So when we get into our Kali mode is what I like to call, when we get passionate, we get Shiva in the door, no thingness, Krishna Lila, curiosity, our ventral vagal state. The optimized brain of any human being is an integrated brain because left and right work together. Thank you again, Daniel Siegel, all hands on deck. So that means I know that I'm Maria person and you're not me and I ain't you, and I can think and feel however I want and you can too. And then we can talk about it and we don't have to either. And at the end of the day, it won't matter except for those who want to build actual mindful relationships. For us, we like to have grown-ups. So the IHP community is for grown-ups who are not ego-sensitive. We know the world is changing. It's okay. Some are going to stay in the Stone Age. Some are going to stay in the Middle Ages. Who cares? We care about the people who we want to get into expanded consciousness because they're the ones who are up there. They need to be all inclusive. Every one of them, all over. It's one globe. I mean, really, I really don't know when people say I'm smart, how they are smart if they don't think that the ocean is like a big bathtub. I was a kid and I'm like, it's a big bathtub. Why aren't everybody recycling? So before we go, the restorative embodied self is a journey, and it's one that is painful. The therapists negotiate with their clients to try and get them to know, hell in your body, we can help you get out of it. But it's going to be a ladder that is also burning. And that trauma memory is a serious deal. But so is the ability for those of us who are able to fit in our bodies as sanctuaries. And I see a lot of people that they could have had the opportunity to choose love. They chose the movies. They chose the stereotypes. They chose to be shitty to each other. So in the Zen tradition story, we have non-disciples who are circling a poor compulsive thief, and they're basically treating a human being who needs help like shit. And we don't sit by and say, do that. No. So the people who are creating mindful relationships, the grown-ups, we're not shaming, blaming, faulting, revenging, because that's all adaptive child immature behavior, which means there's unresolved trauma. Addictive behaviors are also compulsive. They're not only about alcohol, drugs, food, or excessive, what else is there, sex. It's a lot of other things, and really it's the person's relationship to the substance. They will know if they're self-soothing because they will know every time I get stressed, I'm going to go do this thing, and it's not heightening my prakriti, so the energy body. The IHP community is of people who want to learn how to do functional adult love language and to be yourself as a grown-up to help the people who want mindful relationships to move out of their unresolved trauma for real and not pretend. So love is the answer, not shame. That's what we're trying to help them dissolve. A true friend, as Sadhguru points out, is someone who has the courage to tell you what shit you are and still be loving and nice to you. You don't have to nag them with what's wrong with them. That's not the point. But at some time, you must have the courage to be unpopular with people. If you really have a friend, you must have the courage to be unpopular with your friend and still be loving and okay with them. And if that is a friendship, then, there's no need for, in fact, agreements or disagreements. We don't do the likes, dislikes. That's all adaptive child land. So we're apples and oranges, and we still can be good friends. And if we care, we do what's good for others, not for ourselves. So we let people be their self. And we say, maybe this thing you could work on for your benefit, not me, but hey, who am I? So we are always open to communication, direct, and it's a conversation. No shaming, no blaming, and definitely no revenging.